Hey, thank you guys for being here. Shout out to you guys, MVPs, everybody else watching on TikTok, YouTube, Patreon, however you get here, bro. That's your business. I don't know, but I do appreciate each and every one of you guys. Today, we're going to be talking about the SEC and the Sunbelt. We do have a live stream tonight, so I'm going to go through this episode as fast as possible. Just to be real, because I do have to live stream tonight for several hours. We have a game, South Alabama and App State. If you want to know who's going to win the game or what I would bet on, probably become an MVP. That's what you should do. All right, so that being said, let's go and talk about this. We'll do the most up-to-date news that we can. First thing I want to tell you guys is this is the Patreon. This is where people change their lives. This is where you can become an MVP. We currently have 4,628 members. Shout out to everybody who's a member. 986 videos. 986 videos. You can pay annually, save 15%. It is $25 a month. Oh, by the way, you can also join for free and be a free member. Free members do get some things. I'm showing you here. This is a lock, meaning you can't see it unless you're an MVP. I'll scroll so you guys can see the lock there. Locked. And that's me breaking down the entire UFC Fight Night card. There should be no preview. That's weird. I got to fix that. But it's 33 minutes long. Okay, 33 minutes long. Then we have the full Fight Night card, the actual card, and all my picks for the fight card. If you're an MVP, you can see that. It's for UFC, guys. I've been picking UFC all offseason. We're picking at a tremendous rate. There's a UFC parlay worth playing. It's plus 138. Then there's Friday's games. I've already broken down Friday's games. I talked for 25 minutes about Friday's games, and there it is. You can go see that. You got to join to unlock it. There's the chart for Friday. We have the chart. We have the props chart. A lot of props and parlays for Friday night. There are 3 games. Talk about it just a little bit on Friday. And then you have a player prop if you can bet player props if you're in certain states. And there's tonight's game. I did a video on it. It's already, I don't know how many minutes long that video is, but I already broke it down, and I broke it down yesterday. So there's all this on the server. Look what I said. Add Alex Orgy to everything on your prize picks. And I'm taking his under, just so you're aware. That's free, but you don't know what else to parlay it with, but I'm just giving you some advice here. So we have everything you ever wanted to see here. Thursday night, these are the props for Thursday night's games. Tonight's game, if you will. But yeah, get to the Patreon. Become an MVP. It'll change your life. But let's go over here and let's talk about this stuff real quick. In the news and up-to-date injury reports and things of that nature, you have Byshal Tutton, starting running back for Virginia Tech, part of their vaunted offense. He's been limited in practice. He was supposed to be questionable for this week against Rutgers. They're going to need him to be healthy, and it doesn't sound like he is, just so you're aware. Same with the wide receiver. Eugene Wilson out versus Mississippi State, and I have more news on Eugene Wilson as we scroll up. He had surgery today. That's Trey Wilson. That is the very best wide receiver at Florida. They're going to have to rely heavily on Elijah Badger moving forward. This is bad news for Florida. If you ask me, it sounds like some players at Florida are mailing it in. They're quitting. They're going to save their eligibility, potentially redshirt, and hit the transfer portal. And that's what you do. You go and have surgery in the middle of the season when you could probably keep playing. Maybe. I'm just letting you know. This looks like some of the other players are going to be hitting the IR, if you will. Save their eligibility. You're coming up on week 4. We're going to start seeing people disappear and head to the transfer portal. That's the reality of the situation. I've already started my list. Eli Stower is listed as questionable against Missouri after his big game last week against Georgia State, being the team's leading receiver. They really need him, and it's unfortunate he won't be available for Missouri. My 3 wins at Vandy will have to wait another day. They got to play Ball State later. We need that 3rd win. Remember, I have 10 units on Vandy to win 3 games this year. They've already got 2. Thank goodness. Thank goodness they beat Virginia Tech, because their loss last week to Georgia State would have ruined everything. They only have 3 viable wins on their roster, on their schedule, and they lost one of them. That's crazy. Thank goodness they beat Virginia Tech. We're still on glide path. Here we got Jaquinta Jackson, probable versus Auburn. Sounds good. Andrew Anthony listed as probable for week 4 against Tennessee. Arch Manning, he's the starter. Wisner, this is bad, but they found a freshman that can handle his business this week against UTSA, so they'll be okay. Game time decision, dude, it's ULM. Get some more rest. They don't need you. Eugene Wilson undergoes meniscus surgery. Yeah, he needed meniscus surgery. Shout out to him and Sugar Sean. Braden Bennett out versus Virginia. Coastal needs everybody. This is a problem in the running back room. Although I like Christian Washington, the third-string running back, they need their first 2 starters, and they don't have them. Simpkins and Bennett out versus Virginia. That's bad. Speaking of being bad, this is bad. Arizona State playing Texas Tech. Raleek Brown is out. Biggest flop of all time at this point. He's been healthy for 1 game, and he's got 2 or 3 touches. And then DeCarlos Brooks. He's listed as the starter. He should start versus Texas Tech. That means Scattaboo is probably being held out with them damn concussions. He's got something wrong with Scat, right? Scat was shaking it out. And now you have DeCarlos Brooks. DeCarlos Brooks is not a bad running back. But with Scattaboo out, with Raleek Brown out, you're down to 2 running backs that I believe in on that team. Now, there's not much depth there, and I don't know if Brooks can move the chains. I know Brooks can't move the chains like Scattaboo. I know he's not good for 33 yards. So now we're going to put it on Sam Levitt to throw the ball and keep up with Texas Tech. I don't like that at all. So if you get a chance before the damn spread moves, you might want to go jump on Texas Tech. Please stop tagging me in the middle of shows. I cannot stand that. I'm doing a podcast. Give me a second here. It causes pop-ups. I apologize. It pisses me off. Sorry about that. MVPs constantly asking me questions that I'll never answer. I saw this graphic here, and I wanted to talk about it. Highest graded true freshman this season. Once again, this is all BS. They only grade the Power 4 players, and I don't know what their grades even mean. This isn't real. Highest graded players, it says Power 4, minimum 45 snaps. Whatever, bro. You fix your grading system. I went out there and gave you the best true freshman in America. Ryan Williams is number 1 for me, wide receiver at Alabama, leading the team in receiving. I don't want to hear about no other receivers who got playing time in blowouts like Ja'Cory Barney and Ryan Wingo. Don't want to hear about it. Jeremiah Smith, it's obvious. Turn on your TV. He's great. Dylan Stewart, turn on your TV. Dylan Raiola is an undefeated starting quarterback. Come on, man. Fluff Bothwell, the leading rusher among all true freshman running backs. Fluff Bothwell, we're going to see him tonight on the game. This is a hidden gem, a guy that I reviewed on my channel. He reached out to the channel. I did a high school film review on him last year. I'm a big believer in Fluff Bothwell. I thought he was special, and I said it in the video. I don't know why they're giving him 3 stars, and I don't know why nobody's offering him. But he's slated to go to South Alabama. He's going to be a problem at South Alabama. He's already in the starting lineup. He's currently ranked 41st in the country in rushing yards. Fluff Bothwell is him. Deshaun Bishop finally got some playing time last week in Tennessee's big blowout against Kent State, and he smoked the backups at Kent State. Congratulations. Wayshawn Parker, the best hidden gem. He was under my radar. I didn't know who he was until the season started. He's been balling out of control. He is must-see TV. Tomorrow night, Washington State will be on TV. You need to stay up. It's a Friday night. You don't have school tomorrow. Stay up Friday night and watch Wayshawn Parker, and he's just got that home run. You hear about these dudes with breakaway speed? Home run speed, that's the guy. Wayshawn Parker against San Jose State. I'm expecting at least 60 yards rushing, another 40 receiving, at least 2 touchdowns. Wayshawn Parker is so explosive. So excited for him. Shout out to him. Isaac Brown at Louisville, getting junk stats, but we'll take it. Nick Marsh had one huge game and then kind of came back down to reality, but still, a true freshman having a big game like that, that's impressive. And then there's Ryan Wingo. He's doing his best. Those are my top 10 offensive line. I shouldn't say offensive freshmen, but I was going to tell you guys, I didn't really look into the offensive line. So there's not much stats I can do there. So I went off of production for players that I believe in. And I've been watching every game. These are the freshmen that stick out to me, just so we're clear. All right, we're going to talk about the SEC. So the SEC, the big surprise last week was Georgia just scraping by to beat Kentucky. I told you in the preseason, Kentucky's defense is one of the very best in the country, and they prove it. They hold Georgia to 13 points, and they look dominant in this game. Georgia couldn't get anything going. They get a touchdown late in the fourth, right? Branson Robinson gets that little 3-yard gain or whatever it is. But Carson Beck looked terrible. He had no receivers open except for Dominic Lovett. They're still trying to find replacements for guys like Ladd McConkey and Brock Bowers, and I'm telling you, those guys aren't on the roster. So it's going to be difficult for these guys to keep up with some of these other teams that match up well in the trenches with them. Obviously, Kentucky has all the talent in the world. They just need the coaching to put it together, and offensively, they're still terrible. Still terrible. But if you wanted to know, is Brock Vandagriff getting benched? No, he is not. This is a young man that completed half of his passes. He had a fumble in the game, maybe 2 of them. I know they lost one of them, but he had 2 fumbles, and they're still not getting rid of him. And it's fine. He's probably their best option. We know what Gavin Wimsatt is. He sucks. Receivers, getting Barian Brown the ball is important. You got to do it more. I understand you're playing Georgia, but you got to get that man the ball more. He's the best player on the field every time he steps on the field. I don't care when he's playing, he's the best player. Mykal Williams wasn't on the field to the same, and he's the best player in college football. Defensively, I watched all the tape, man. I was really impressed with Kentucky. I really was. Holding them to 3 points every single time is just beautiful. You get into halftime and you're up 6-3 at half on Georgia. Yeah, you're playing great. You're playing lights out. You can't blame the defense. No, they played great. I'll say one thing that really stuck out to me was the way Georgia could flip the field. They have a punter, Brett Thorson down here, 6 punts, averaging almost 50 yards a punt. That's 10 yards further than most people. I only saw a couple other punters do it. There was 2 others. I think it was Alabama and Mississippi State's punters that were flipping the field like that. This kid was doing it nonstop. Impressive, bro. 3 inside the 20, just pinpoint accuracy, doing everything right as a punter. Probably the MVP of the game, Brent Thorson. Kept them in this game. Shout out to Georgia. Found a way to win. I'm wearing a shirt from Georgia. I'm not a Georgia fan. I'm not a fan of any team. But I'm just telling you, I bought this shit on clearance at Sam's Club, so I'm rocking it. But Georgia, you didn't look like the number 1 team in the country. Obviously, you weren't my number 1 team. My number 1 team for about 2 weeks now has been Texas, and they've looked that part. Texas is so deep at every position group, it's crazy. Here you have a freshman breakout game. Jarrett Gibson shows up, starts getting carries. Yes, he fumbled, but Jarrett Gibson's a special kind of running back, and he's only a freshman. Ryan Wingo, only a freshman, out there catching passes, beating people, doing what he does. And yes, Isaiah Bond still got 2 touchdowns. Jonte Cook, 2 touchdowns. That wide receiver room is a problem. They've got all the weapons you want to see. Georgia wishes they had this type of talent, and they don't. They don't have this type of talent in the skill positions. They do have exceptional talent in the trenches and on defense. But from what I've seen from Texas, they're the best team in the country. Anthony Hill's everywhere. McCubba's everywhere. Benda's everywhere. Every time I turn on the tape and I'm watching this defense, it's fast, it's relentless, and I'm thoroughly impressed with it. I really am. Shout out to them. I think they're built to win. They're I'm not going to say they're recession proof, but I don't see them. No one injury can take them out of the season. You know, Florida State last year, 1 injury took them out of their whole season. They were no longer relevant. Do you remember when Ohio State was down to a 3rd-string quarterback and still won the national title? That's how I feel Texas is. They're so deep. They're so good that they're going to be down to 2nd and 3rd stringers in certain position groups, and it's not going to matter. It's irrelevant because everybody's great. Speaking of everybody being great, Alabama fans pretend like everything's A-OK right here, and I still don't like the way they look. I know they won this game, and they dominated Wisconsin, but Wisconsin has no quarterback. Obviously, Tyler Van Dyke gets injured on a non-contact injury, and he's done for the year. Braden Locke comes in, and he can't compete with Alabama. But Alabama, they're hot and cold, man. Some series, they look dynamite. Some series, they're just struggling. And I understand Ryan Williams is getting open and beating people deep. That's not a strategy here. I need to see more consistency. We're betting on Jam Miller anytime touchdown. It hit. But, man, it's scary when Jalen Milroe's leading you in rushing. and the week before he had -2 yards rushing. It's like you're hot and cold. What's your strategy? What's your formula? What's your identity? Do you run a dual threat offense? Do you run some RPOs? What do you do? I'm trying to figure it out when I watch the tape, and I don't like it. It feels very inconsistent. On the other side of the ball, on defense, dominant. LT Overton, shout out to big LT Overton. He played here in Georgia in high school, and he initially went to Texas A&M, and now he's here. He played well this week. Everybody's telling Rico, you got to pay attention to him. Yeah, he played well this week. Up front, he looked great, but it's Wisconsin, and I'm not impressed with Wisconsin. Just not. I am impressed with Ole Miss. Ole Miss has a problem, bro. Ole Miss knew they could run all over Wake Forest. Wake Forest couldn't stop the run week 1 against an FCS team. There's no way they were going to stop this rushing attack. 272 yards on the ground, 6 yards a carry, 3 touchdowns. Looks the part, and we know how great these wide receivers are. We know how great the wide receiver room is. If I see a game and Beanie Wells is the 4th most productive wide receiver in the game, yeah, you're too deep. You got too many players. You got too much good stuff going on. It's a good problem to have. I'm really high on Jackson Dart and the way he's playing. Obviously, Wake Forest doesn't want to play Ole Miss again, so they canceled this series. And now Wake Forest will be playing Oregon State moving forward. Makes more sense. You're not going to be competitive with this team right here. It wasn't close. The closest this game was at the coin toss. That's as close as it was. TJ Daugherty out here playing well. Jared Ivey, I've never seen him get that many sacks in a game. He's out here dominating. But all in all, they're just so deep, it doesn't matter who's getting the production. They can rotate all day. Guys leave the field, come on, they're just as good. Like, there's guys at the bottom of this that are just as good as the starters up here. Except for that Princely Manley, he sucks. Just so we're clear. What up, Prince? You suck, bro. All right, Missouri finding a way to beat Boston College. I was very unimpressed with Missouri's offense in this game. I thought Brady Cook wasn't the most efficient, but Nate Noel is taking over this running back room. He's taking over the running back room, and that's surprising to me because I thought Marcus Carroll was going to be the one-cut guy and go ham. This also tells me that App State is missing the hell out of Nate Noel. App State wishes they still had Nate Noel, and they don't. I'm sure Georgia State wishes they still had Marcus Carroll. They don't, and that's the problem with the group of 5 schools. They're losing so much talent to the Power 4 that you just can't keep up. You can't compete. But I thought Boston College did themselves well. Thought they represented the ACC well and themselves well in this game. Just you're not going to win. Defensively, I love seeing Dalen show up. Dalen Carnell, friend of the channel, once reached out to me and asked me for a film review. Actually, the first college starter to ask me for a film review. And shout out to him and his father. They follow the channel. But it was nice to see him actually making plays on the tape, see him up there. Corey Flagg's been leading this defense every single week, and that's a problem for me because I know Corey Flagg's not good enough to start at Miami. So if your defense is being led by a guy that can't start at Miami, there's levels to this, right? That's why I have Miami so high in the polls, because I know how good their talent is. And Corey Flagg's one of those guys who couldn't start over there anymore, and here he is. But he's making plays, and they're doing great things. They have a good pass rush. They had to bottle up an athletic quarterback in this thing, and I thought they did well. Shout out to Torian Pride. Some guys look good on tape when you watch them and just really study what they're doing. And like I said, just like Ole Miss, very deep defensively. Guys down here are just as good as the guys up here, talent-wise. So that's a good problem to have. Shout out to them. Luther Burden interjected himself into this game. I told you some games he disappears. Some games you can rely on him to go for 100, usually against smaller opposition, scrub opposition. This game against a team that was fairly equivalent initially, Luther Burden went ham, and that's good for him. That's a good marker. Brady Cook needs to step it up. Speaking of stepping it up, Tennessee did whatever they wanted. Like I said, Deshaun Bishop, a freshman, finally got some playing time, went absolute ham. He's running against the backups at Kent State. They're scrubs. Dylan Sampson doing his part, but this wasn't a game. Their practices are harder than this game, for sure. There's not a guy at Kent State good enough to make the roster at Tennessee. Not one, not a singular one. Receivers, Chris Brazzell, Tulane transfer, complete stud. Dante Thornton, Oregon transfer, complete stud. These guys are out here dominating. Mike Matthews trying to make a name for himself. Love what Squirrel White does. Haven't used them much this season. They don't need to, but I wish they would. Brew McCoy once was the leader of this wide receiver room and Mr. Possession receiver, 50-something receptions one year and all that stuff. He's just on this team, bro. They got too many weapons. They're spreading it around. It's a good problem to have. Josh Heupel is an offensive genius, so I see them doing really well. What I'll tell you is they play Oklahoma this week, and when I talk about the matchups, I'll mention it, but I don't like any team playing Oklahoma's defense. I don't. Not from what I've seen on tape, and I know people are telling me Tennessee's going to blow out Oklahoma. All those people are just casual-ass sports fans. They haven't even, what do they watch? How much Oklahoma football have they watched? Well, they check the box score? I don't know what they're doing. Tennessee coming out here, hitting on all cylinders, look great, able to bring out 4 different punt returners. It is a good time to glorified scrimmage. There's Oklahoma, just like I said. Oklahoma playing a quality Tulane team and shutting them completely down. I was really impressed. Yes, they got 100 yards, but it took them 34 carries to get it. They got 173 yards passing, but it took them 33 attempts to get it. These are horrific numbers. This is completely getting shut down right here by a team that's really good. That's a 1,200-yard rusher right there in Hughes. This is a very good team with a good offensive line, and they just embarrassed them. Now, Jackson Arnold is not him. The run game is not great. I love Jackson Arnold. He's not playing great. Run game, not good. And Jackson Arnold's the only semblance of run game, which is crazy. You're going to get hurt. You can't be running like that in the SEC. Deion Burke's the only receiver to show up every single week. He did it again. They need to find others. Gavin Sawchuk, you're still dead to me. It's the reality of the situation. Defensively, Danny Stutzman, shout out to you, man. Thank you for following me on Twitter. Danny Stutzman is the only guy out there making plays. What he's going to need to do this week, though, is they're going to double up. They're going to chip up on him. Linemen from Tennessee get to the second level, especially their tackles. He needs to keep his head on a swivel and beat those blocks. They're going to be getting up to the second level, and that's what makes a 3-yard gain into a 6-yard gain. So Danny Stutzman's going to have to fight blocks and rely on his defensive linemen to occupy those tackles. You can't let him get to the second level. It will hurt. That's a fact. So Oklahoma's going to be in trouble if they can't score, but defensively, I think they match up really well. I do. Speaking of matching up really well, LSU and South Carolina. So it was a fun game to watch. It was a tragedy that it came down to horrific refereeing. Sorry, I had to say it 3 times, once for every terrible call that I saw. Embarrassing what these referees did. They took away a victory from South Carolina. South Carolina would be undefeated right now. They're probably one of the top 5 one-loss teams in America, as far as I'm concerned. They really are. Their defensive line is special. Lenora Sellers is him. Shout out to Robbie Ashford for coming into the game and trying his best, but 11 carries for 11 yards. You're a bum. I don't like Robbie Ashford at all. I thought it was a terrible transfer, him going to South Carolina from Auburn. I didn't think he belonged there, and Lenora Sellers being healthy is a good thing. They need him healthy. It's the only thing that lost them this game. On the other side, LSU, Nussmeier, Nussbus, all that hype is over, bro. The Nussbus has flattened wheels. I don't believe in the Nussbus like that. I understand the defense is the reason they're losing games, or at least not dominating games or covering the spread. But the reality is the Nussbus has turnovers. 40 attempts. This dude should have 400 yards. He really should. Running back. At least they found a running back. Caden Durham showing up and starting to be the running back. As a freshman, he's taking over that running back room. It's not even close. He's a little small guy, kind of lower center of gravity, good forward lean, breaks arm tackles. Like the dude, man. Gets a lot of extra yardage. I like that kid. Caden Durham, he's fun to watch. Obviously, Raheem Sanders is him. A lot more physically developed than others. Broke free, making big plays. It's nice to see him healthy this season as opposed to last year when he wasn't quite himself. Oscar Attaway. I bet you really like that transfer to South Carolina, bro. Yeah, leaving North Texas where you would have been the starting running back for 1 yard. Oscar Attaway, bro. Remember when I said this was a terrible transfer? Anybody remember that? I said it on the transfer portal. Go check it. Transfer portal. I said this guy right here was a backup running back in North Texas. Why is he starting, or why is he even going to South Carolina? Waste of time. Jared Brown, one of my hidden gems, guy I really believe in as a wide receiver, left Coastal Carolina to come to South Carolina. Problem is South Carolina can't really throw. Their quarterback room is gross right now. Yes, Lenora Sellers can run. Yes, there's some excitement there. But nobody's a pure passer, and the receivers are going to suffer from this. You have great receivers, Nick Harbor. These are good, talented players, right? That you know they can win one-on-one battles, and they're not getting the production you need. Lesser athletes are getting more than them. Aaron Anderson, little dude, always open apparently. That's the Alabama transfer. I don't believe in him. Kyron Lacey, they're always going to throw to him. If you ever get a chance to bet on his anytime touchdown, at least do it once. Mason Taylor, I'm glad they're starting to utilize him, and I hope he shoots up. Tight end charts. Sorry about that. Ash is amped up. C.J. Daniels played his first good game for me. He did. Bunch of fumbles, bunch of poor and sloppy play. Nick is still one of my top safeties in the whole country. I put this on Twitter before the season. I've talked about it at length. Really like Nick. Really like Debo. Like a lot of these players, man. South Carolina's got a who's who on defense. Like, I can name all these dudes. I know who they are. I think they're great. All the way down to Jules down here. I like everybody on this defense. They have a really good defense. Not underrated defense. They're a good defense. This other team, yikes. Their defense sucks. They're terrible. Yes, Swinson had a career day of 3 sacks, but that doesn't matter. Everybody else is gross. They don't get it done. They're in the right position, not making the right play. Can't make a tackle. Can't stop a running back. Can't stop they can't stop anything. I think they're bad. Defensively, terrible. A&M, great defense. Play very smart. Picking off these young quarterbacks, or these 2 quarterbacks from Florida. Really liked the defensive play from Texas A&M. Florida was never in this game. Shutout at halftime. Yes, they came out at halftime and scored 2 touchdowns. I don't care. You're already down 20-0. You only gain 1 point in the third quarter. You scored 2 touchdowns, but your net gain was 1. Please understand that. That's crazy. They just look bad. And shout out to A&M. They look good. Marcel Reed out here dual threatening it, able to run the ball a little bit. That's pretty good. Something to keep your eye on. They're more dynamic with Reed. I like Reed better than Wegman. Wegman's, ugh. But Connor Wegman could. I don't want to hear it. Le'Veon Moss, complete stud. Amari Daniels, stud. E.J. Smith probably should have stayed at Stanford, but he wanted to come over here. That's fine. Florida's offense sucks. Florida's offense looks so bad on tape. The offensive line isn't making any holes, not giving them any time, and there's no creativity. It's bad. And I think it's going to get worse. You're talking about your starting running back with -7 yards, but nobody's doing anything to impress me. And then receiver-wise, your star receiver just had meniscus surgery, so now you're left with Badger. DK coming over from Wisconsin doesn't really move me like that, so you're just left with Elijah Badger coming over from Arizona State. Congratulations. A&M's receiver room. Worse. I think they're worse. Cyrus Allen, not him. A La Tech transfer. Like I told you, this is a Conference USA caliber wide receiver. That's how I feel. And everybody else is very underwhelming. Everybody else is underwhelming. And I love Jabri Barber. Love him. But they don't have the quarterback to get him the ball. Everybody else, nah. Receiver room, not it. By the way, Florida corners are still pretty good. They're still good in coverage. Pup Howard having a good amount of tackles in this game. He popped on tape when I was watching it. That's the South Carolina transfer. I bet South Carolina kind of missing him, but not really. They have other linebackers, but Pup Howard is good. He popped on tape. DJ Douglas looked good on tape. Hey, actually, did he transfer back from Tulane? I believe he did. I'm trying to think who else looked good on tape. Bridges did. Sapp always looks good. I like Sapp. Sapp used to have I think he used to have a cast 2 years ago, or a year. Yeah, 2 years ago. Ratcliffe, proving me wrong. I thought he wasn't going to have a good season. He came out and played pretty good in this game, getting some tackles and doing things. But really, this defense is led by guys like York. Howell coming in from the transfer portal playing well. Will Lee still shutting down everybody. This is just a who's who. Love DeShields, the Pitt transfer. Good player. I like everybody out here. Nick Scorton's down here, the big bully. You need the bully on the block right there. Nick Scorton's a beast. So A&M, good team. Don't think beating Florida gets you back in the top 25, but it did. Arkansas looked like shit. Try to watch it back and just try to understand what they were doing. And I don't know if they were trying to hide the playbook. and not doing it, but they don't throw it to anybody. Please don't tell me about this Arkansas wide receiver room anymore. They don't throw it to any of them. Armstrong gets 8 receptions, 137 yards, nobody else. And don't tell me UAB schemed out all the other good wide receivers. Arkansas doesn't have good wide receivers. They have a good running back room. They have a good quarterback that can run and a good running back. That's all I see from Arkansas when I watch the tape. I'm serious. They have a good running back and a good dual threat quarterback. Nothing else. Nothing else. Defensively, Brad Spence is my guy. He looks the best on tape. I understand he's down here with Landon Jackson. Both of those guys should be impact players, making all the plays. Steven Dix leads the team in tackles. That's fine. It's a Marshall transfer. He's really from Florida State 2 years ago. So he's a good player, a high-level player, and I'm cool with him leading the team in tackles. But when I watch the tape, Brad Spence, Landon Jackson, those dudes are real down here. Those look like NFL caliber players. Just calling it what I see. They got to figure it out. They got to shut teams down. They can't be giving up 20 points in the first half to Auburn, or to UAB. What they did in the second half is what I would expect them to give up against UAB. 20 points in the first half, that's way too much. Second half, they only gave them 7 points. That's about right. That's what I need to see from Arkansas. That's why they didn't cover the spread. Vandy, speaking of not covering the spread, these guys had this game in the bag. They had it won. And then Georgia State was able to drive down the field and score on them. Diego played fine. He did fumble at one point, but he played fine. He did what Diego does. He's going to throw and he's going to run. But you're not going to wow anybody with Diego, probably. Like, you might wow somebody if you have low expectations from him, but I don't. I know what he's capable of. And this is about it. This is his maximum potential right here. This is what he's capable of doing, and it wasn't enough to win the game. And I say that when the defense lost them the game, but it still wasn't enough because you got to just go out there and put up 45 points against Georgia State. You have to. Cedric Alexander really disappointing. The offensive line just got no push up front. They really schemed it well. Shout out to Georgia State. They knew how to stop Vandy. And you need to remember this. The Georgia State coaching staff comes from Georgia. So they had a ton of experience against SEC defenses. They did not feel overwhelmed by the preparation for this game. But a New Mexico State offensive coordinator needs to come in and really put up some points. Defensively, Vandy has no excuse. Like, you just melted. You fell apart. You got to stop Freddie Brock, man. Freddie Brock's amazing. Love Freddie Brock. But Christian Villieu lighting you up? It's going to be a long season of Christian Villieu's lighting you up. Just letting you know. Stowers is injured after having a great game, I guess. I was going to say first game, but a great game. Ted Hurst, good experienced player, been around. I think he's a junior. Been around for a couple years, and I like his production in this game. He was popping all over on tape. Shout out to they must have. I said Fred. I think I meant to say Ted. They must have found a mismatch that they really liked, some type of scheme, because they were taking advantage of it every single time Hurst was open all over the place. Defensively, I think only the like a TCU. This is a TCU transfer right here, Fontenot, I believe. TCU transfer and a Stanford transfer to Cosmo. You see guys that when I see them, I get all excited. But this right here can't happen, man. I don't know when this can happen, but this can't happen here. Prince Colley is supposed to be one of your leaders on defense, and the whole game, fucking crickets, bro. Crickets. Can't have that happen. You'll lose. Swint playing amazing. Pringle playing good. Yeah, these guys look good on tape. Georgia State surprised me. Came out and won the game. That's life. Auburn, New Mexico. I told you guys, New Mexico was going to cover the spread, and they did. It was a 28-point spread. They covered it, no problem. Devin Dampier can score on anyone. That dude's annoying right there. Devin Dampier can run and score on anybody, extend plays. Look at him. He threw for 291 yards. Respect New Mexico, please. They have a great coach, and they got a guy that can move the ball. They got a guy that's too good to be at New Mexico. He's sneaky good. I know all the Auburn fans are happy about Hank Brown. They're so happy about Hank Brown, they're writing me DMs. We got a quarterback, Rico. We got a quarterback, Hank Brown. And I'm going, okay, you got a quarterback. Congratulations. Good teams win. Great teams cover the spread. Jarquez Hunter, beast. Austin, beast. Everybody played really great. Big Play Dre, Fairweather, Camden Brown. Everybody played pretty great. Defensively, Jaron Thompson, for me, was one of the top players I evaluated He came over. He transferred from Texas, I believe. When I evaluated the players, I just went, whoa, that guy's good. So I'm not surprised to see him at the top of the tackles chart. Him, Keontae Scott, the other starting corner. Thompson's a starting safety. Scott's a corner, and he's a beast. Love what this team has. Defensively, they got players like speed. They got to just put it together. We'll see what happens. They feel pretty good about this moving forward. Shout out to them. I'll talk about New Mexico tomorrow. Yo, Mississippi State, you're terrible. Mississippi State does nothing that impresses me. Blake Shapen coming out here, getting mollywopped. It's not really his fault. He doesn't play defense, and neither does Mississippi State. They just got ran right through. Like fucking double doors open, and anybody can go right through them. Easy as pie. Couldn't stop a soul, man. Bad stuff. Bad football, really. Shapen with a fumble, no big deal. Defensively, nothing that I'm excited about. Nothing. They just kind of catch. You guys ever seen a defense that catches a runner and then the runner can fall forward for 3 more yards because you're just in receive mode? You're just catching. You're not driving your feet on the tackle the other way. Yeah, you're just in receive mode. It's crazy. So you can just get ran over. They're in for a really long season, like I predicted in the preseason. Remember, I ranked Mississippi State really, really low in the preseason. I don't want to pull up the talent chart right now, but I'm pretty sure it was pathetically low. This week's matchups, Florida, Mississippi State, that's an MVP level lock. We won't talk about it. Ohio, Kentucky. Obviously, Kentucky has a 20-point spread there. I like Ohio to cover that spread. I like Ohio to stay competitive. I think Kentucky's offense is just not hitting on all cylinders. And Ohio, no, I'm talking crazy, bro. Kentucky needs to cover that. Stop it. Kentucky needs to cover that. Ohio shouldn't be able to score. Kentucky needs to win 32-10. 32-10. Give me the over, and Kentucky covers. UCLA, LSU. MVP level lock, I believe, but I have LSU covering that spread. Arkansas, Auburn, it's a coin flip. Whoever you think is better is your business. I think Arkansas can win this game. I like Arkansas in the game. I do. Vanderbilt, Missouri. Missouri should cover this spread and embarrass Vanderbilt. Tennessee, Oklahoma. I'm in the complete minority here. I think Oklahoma can win this game, and I know I sound crazy. And I know Tennessee has all the firepower in the world and what they did to NC State and what all the fans say and all this stuff. I just know that I don't think Nico's very good, and I don't think Nico can handle this type of defense. I think he's learning. He's young and he's learning. He's surrounded by great players. But the ball touches his hands every single play, and I don't think Nico's that good. So I'm on Oklahoma to win this game, and I sound crazy. I wouldn't bet on it. A&M, Bowling Green. A&M should come out here and win this game handedly. Bowling Green did play Penn State tough, but A&M should cover that spread. We'll see. We'll see. Akron, South Carolina, I believe it's an MVP level lock. Ole Miss, Georgia Southern, MVP level lock. Texas, ULM, not an MVP level lock, but Texas got to cover the spread against ULM. Texas is too damn good. ULM's fighting for 44. I know they've been playing well. I know they're coached well. They're undefeated. But 44? Nah. Give me Texas to win by 50 or 60. Yeah. I like that. All right, before I get into the other guys, I'm going to go to the chat. Thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for loading it up. If you're watching on TikTok, move over to YouTube, put it in the chat. I will get to you. Let's go back over here. Let's interact. Thank you. It is SEC night. Shout out to Lee Griffin becoming an MVP. That's what happens when you become an MVP. You turn green and get a badge. Congratulations. D-Mick, MVP. Congratulations. Shout out to you guys. LaWayne Harris says, Arch Manning, 300-plus passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Let's go. Texas to win it all. Well, let's hope he's not playing long enough to get 300 passing yards. You should bring in somebody else. Keep him healthy. Ty Owens says, I'm so excited to see ULM beat Texas this weekend. There you go, Ty Owens. I guess they're competing in bowling or something. Hey, Rico, isn't Mountain West, but I've been trying to find an update on Josiah Freeman from Fresno State returning. Donnie, don't do that. We don't talk Mountain West till tomorrow. 2015 Vegas Bowl, best game by a punter I've ever seen. Kyle Roberts, you're going to have to be more specific. I have no idea. Jungle Brother. No, so you all negative on Alabama, but all positive for Ole Miss. Then say how great Jackson Dart is playing. Who's more of a threat, Milroe or Dart? I'll wait. Well, Jungle Brother, I think you came here with the agenda of debating sports, and you're on the wrong channel for that. I don't necessarily debate sports. I educate. So if you're not here to learn, then you probably are on the wrong channel. But if you came in here with this argumentative idea that Jalen Milroe is better than Jackson Dart, I'll just tell you that Jackson Dart was never in a quarterback battle with a guy named Buckner or Simpson. Okay? Just remember that. Jackson Dart is elite. Do you like the running back committee approach, or is it similar to the quarterback where you have multiple, you don't have one? Mississippi State rushing attack, gross or offensive line, just poverty. So David Pithen, I love running back by committee. It is essential in today's game. You need a change of pace back. You need a third down back. We've always had running back by committee. We just called them third down backs, right? Thurman Thomas came off the field for David Meggett. It was always a thing. So people, they don't really remember it. They don't recognize it for what it was. But running back by committee is a thing in college football, and I think there's a positive to it. I really do. Unless you have a bona fide superstar. Unless you have Genty or one of these, 2,000-yard rushing capable running backs, you need it by committee for sure. Mississippi State's rushing attack, Mississippi State's just not a good team. They don't have SEC caliber players, and they play in the SEC. That's the problem. They're a group of 5 roster. Glenn says, you've been canceled since your comments on Kyrie Jackson. Well, Glenn, canceled must feel a lot different, bro. I don't know what cancel means to you, but all my platforms are bigger than they've ever been. Everything I've ever done in my life is greater. I make about double the money I made last football season. So if this is what cancel feels like, well, then thank you, because I'm actually filthy rich. That's all there is to it. I don't know what else to say to you, Glenn. So get a life, bro. Get a life. The fall off and the cancel has been greatly exaggerated. Jason Velasquez says, does Arkansas beat Auburn? I've already answered that question. Ty Owens, I will be at the LSU versus UCLA game this weekend. Excited for Durham. There you go. David Pitton, do you think Florida has to stick with Mertz? They have one more win. At best, burning up Lagway's red shirt just seems incompetent. So, a couple things. I think Lagway hits the transfer portal regardless and goes and gets paid. So, it doesn't matter what they do with Lagway. He's going to jump in the transfer portal and go get paid. Would it make sense for him to redshirt and not waste his year of eligibility? I think so. But these players don't care. They want to go the Anthony Richardson route. They want to never be good in college and get drafted based on potential tools and traits. They don't care if they're any good. They don't care if they ever start a game. They think they're basketball players, and they're being drafted because they're 19 years old. Yeah, they should play Mertz. Auburn fans, man, always hilarious. There you go. Alabama better get right on track before they face big, bad Georgia defense in 2 weeks. It's too much inconsistency on offense, no rhythm, and Jalen Milroe has to throw the ball more. I think Georgia needs to worry about their offense more than Alabama needs to worry about theirs. Seriously. Louisiana is good, but should they be better? A lot of high school talent in the state. But does that still matter in addition to the portal upgrades that teams need? So, Louisiana Cajuns, Raging Cajun. So, your state really matters. Where you come from really matters. The foundation for your recruiting really matters. And where it pays dividends is in the transfer portal when players want to return to be closer to home. So, you come out of high school in Louisiana and you go sign with Miami or Florida State. Then you get homesick. And you want to come back to Louisiana, but LSU's too full and doesn't want you, you can go play for the Raging Cajun. That's how you get the advantage right there. Louisiana's a very good team. I don't know how much better they should be. The way you get better at football is a financial investment on your team. If location was everything, then all the Florida schools would be great. Then all the California schools would be great. It's about your financial commitment to your athletic department and your football program. And they don't have the same financial commitments as other schools. When you start committing more money to a particular program, you can be more successful. Why do you think Indiana is so good? You think Indiana's good because of Kurt Signetti and all the transfers? They made all that happen with money. You need money. So Louisiana, the Raging Cajun, they just need to allocate more money towards football. If you want to be good at it, that's what you have to do. That's the reality of the situation. That increases recruiting budgets and visiting and travel and a number of things. But obviously NIL, obviously attracting transfers. Yeah, you need to do that. Money, money, and more money. It's the only way. Louisiana, yep. Lafayette. I got it. The Raging Cajun. You don't have to say Lafayette to me, bro. Just say Louisiana. All right, let me go talk about these other knuckleheads, and we'll get back to the chat. Whoops. Let's go the other way. So, South Alabama, they play tonight. They won by 1,000,000 points. They had to run the clock short. And Northwestern State's one of the worst teams in America, period. And they went out and got a bunch of yards. Gio Lopez is amazing. Good dual threat quarterback. We've seen him for 2 years now. Fluff Bothwell, true freshman running back. This is not a fluke. I think he's great. We'll see what he does tonight. Kentrell Bullock's an Ole Miss transfer from a couple years back. Playing really well. Pretty impressed with him. Last year, Braylon McReynolds was the backup running back. And look at him now. He's not even in the rotation. That's telling you what an upgrade they had at running back since Webb departed. That's another Webb, by the way. There's Voicing had a decent game. Their leading receiver has been Jamal Pritchett. So Jamal Pritchett, Devin Voicing, complete studs. Yeah, South Alabama looking the part. The only thing I'm worried about South Alabama is this year they only had 2 returning starters on defense. 2 out of 11. It's a problem. So they have all these new guys on defense, and they can be scored upon. And they can get beat. And they better show up tonight against App State if they want to be competitive. Speaking of being competitive, Arkansas State was getting blown out in this game. They bring in Timmy McClain. Comes off the bench, and he plays pretty good. Shout out to the UCF transfer, former South Florida quarterback, former Florida great. Timmy McClain doing his thing. I hope there's no quarterback controversy on this team. I hope Jalen Rayner is the guy. But McClain plays great. He is a big school guy. He probably can play better than Jalen Rayner. I don't know. I hope there's no drama in that locker room. But, he don't care. Timmy McClain don't care. He wants to see the field. Receivers, Courtney Jackson's always been the best receiver on this team as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, Courtney Jackson. Defensively, how about Marvin Ham, Colorado transfer? Showing out. Going out there looking good on tape. When I watched the game, he didn't stick out to me, but when I went back and watched the box score, I'm like, oh, that was Marvin Ham the whole time. But he didn't stick out during the game, just so we're clear. Coastal Carolina looked bad. They were scoring early. I think they scored on their first 3 drives and then just self-implosion. Couldn't get it done. Vasco should not be leading you in rushing, but he did. He got more carries than Christian Washington. Remember, that's a good running back, Washington. Trey Taylor, a local kid, small little scat back, not even using him. Receivers, after Jared Brown left, there's nothing left in this receiver room. I think they're in trouble. They play Virginia this week. I don't think they beat Virginia. I really don't. I'm talking money line. I don't think they do. So they're undefeated, but they're fake. Troy, not fake. They were winning at halftime. They had a chance to beat Iowa. It's a damn shame. They played as best they could. But look, you're not going anywhere with 21 carries, 24 yards. Not getting it done. A big change. Kamani Vidal last year, running over everybody, and now you got no sense of a running game. Devontae Ross, the only guy willing to play, the only guy that could even get open against his defense. The rest of it just, man, it sucks. And it's tough. That's what happens when you play Iowa. That's what happens when you play Iowa. App State, they're my pick to win this conference. They have been playing like absolute dog shit. They just haven't looked good. Joey Aguilar is him. Threw for a career high 424 yards, 2 touchdowns, still threw 2 picks. I don't know what's going on with this running back room. They're not starting Kanye Roberts. They're not giving him any carries. They're starting the white kid, Anderson Castle. I don't mean to say he's white and like I'm racist. I'm just saying that's the color of his skin. That's how I recognize white running backs. Anderson Castle. Give me Kanye. Give me Kanye. Give me Kanye. It's not going to happen. Great receivers. Throwing it to all of them. They're all open. Eli Wilson, pretty solid tight end. Everybody's open. Everybody's doing the right thing. Defensively, very senior Latin team. Found a way to get 4 sacks in this game. Eventually forced a turnover and an interception by Jake Garcia, making sure you win this game. Jay Garcia is bound to throw an interception, by the way. But this was a little too close for comfort. They were underdogs in this game. And I told the MVPs, App State's winning the game. I don't care if they're underdogs, they're winning the game. And they did. ODU, thank goodness they have a bye week this week because they still don't have a quarterback. They're down to their third quarterback, whoever they want to play, I don't know. But none of these guys can play football. They literally can't play football. They can't take snaps. They can't throw. They can't manage the play clock. They can't do anything. You see those QBRs. Those are real numbers right there. That QBR says 3.0. 3.0. Look at Kyron Drones. 15 for 26, a touchdown and an interception. 78.7. It's a pretty average-ass game. Nothing too special there. 3.0, bro. This man was 20 times better than this dude over here. It's gross. Bryce Duke did break free on one run. The Virginia Tech transfer. Stop giving it to Aaron Young. He can't find a hole to save his life. Like I said, he's a teenager in the dark. Don't know what he's doing. Nothing here. I understand they like Quinn to run the ball because he gives them their best chance to run. He's like a mobile quarterback, whatever. Stop it, dude. Throw it down the field. Figure it out. Do something. His team is bad. Team is bad, and I know going into the season, people wanted what's-his-face to set the record for most tackles in a season or in a career or whatever. I'm forgetting his name right now. They're big tackle, but he wasn't even in the game. Like, he didn't do anything. So, I don't know if he's injured or what, but this was a bad game for ODU. They need 2 weeks to prepare. They don't play this week. Congratulations. Georgia Southern, you beat an FCS team, and you did it well. I mean, you did it dominant. You did fine. O.J. Arnold needs more touches. He's my favorite running back on this team. Little badass dude from Brooks County High School. I'm always his fan. I'm the biggest fan of him. I want him to get more carries. J.C. French played well. It was nice to shut down DeAndre Duhart here. KZ Adams from Georgia State. Duhart's from like a prep school, but he is the team's leading rusher. But they shut these guys down when you watch it. Josh Dallas getting a big play, like the Dallas brothers. They used to play at Trinity Christian, I believe, here in Georgia. So I remember them in high school. From names. You see these names. You recognize the names, bro. But it just doesn't move me. Watson Trent's the leader of this defense, and he showed it. He played really well. Chance Gamble, I've been all over him all season long. I'm telling you, he's my hidden gem. He just looks the part on tape. He's a 6'2 corner, white guy, and just looks super athletic and can cover anyone. I really like Chance Gamble. I do. I really like him a lot. I think he can go to a bigger school. He just transferred in from Kennesaw State, but I think he's even better than that. Yeah, Georgia Southern wins big, but they're going to get – I think they play Ole Miss this week. Yikes. I already talked about it, but I'll go more in depth. Georgia State, Villieu played great, which I didn't expect. Freddie Brock, I did expect him to play great, and he did his damn thing. Freddie Brock out here being Mr. Dependent. I hope they understand this type of production doesn't happen every day, and I hope they keep him in the starting lineup and stop effing around with other people. Receiver room, never been really that good. Not since Jamari Thrash left, but there you go. Ted Hurst doing his thing. Defensively, Kevin Swintz here. Played great, by the way. A couple of guys played great, but you turn on that tape, you start looking at Swint, you're like, man, he don't belong at Georgia State. I think he was just coming back home. I think he's originally from Georgia. Where's Swint from? Yeah, he's from Carrollton, so he just came back home. Beast, bro. Beast. Love what he's doing. Shout out to Georgia State. South Florida beating Southern Miss. Southern Miss was given a 10-point underdog. Tate Rodemaker's their best option at quarterback. Clark, best option at running back. Keep figuring that out. Love what Mims is doing at receiver, but let's pay attention down here. This defense can't stop a soul. Can't stop a soul. I don't know what you're going to do, but Southern Miss defense is not it. And I understand how good South Florida's offense is. Southern Miss defense is severely outmanned, outgunned. All these JUCO dudes, all these guys who just aren't good, and it eventually just shows. They're like undisciplined. They miss assignments. You'll be there. You'll be like, hey, that guy's supposed to set the edge, keep his outside shoulder free. Nah, he's gonna bite on the play action and let himself get sealed and down blocked by a tight end. And I'll be like, dude, ain't you the don't you know your role in the defense? It'll be driving me crazy watching the tape. Texas State, shout out to them. They went out there and represented the conference well, but ended up losing ultimately. They were the favorite in this game. Couldn't stop Arizona State from throwing the ball, which was weird. Couldn't really stop Arizona State on third down. We live streamed this game, the MVPs on YouTube. I thought they played well, though. Hitting all their little receivers, Joey Hobart, Bo Sparks, Cole Wilson, all these little guys. Ishmael Mahdi get bottled up for only 68 yards. He needs to do more than that. They need to get him in the red zone. He still hasn't scored a touchdown this season, I don't think. Maybe only one. But you see it, fumbles. They're getting ripped out at the worst times. Ben Bell played great, defensive end. He only had 1 sack, but I'm telling you, you turn on the tape. Ben Bell, I think Max Harris got hurt, but Ben Bell is so good. Ben Bell, Max Harris, those guys pop on tape. Palin kept getting hurt, trailing Payne. Kept laying down like he was hurt all the damn time. But my goodness, Ben Bell, Max Harris, they look like they've been eating weights, bro. They look like they live in the weight room. It's pretty cool. Texas State's going to win more games. Just not that one, obviously. And then we look at this week's matchups. We have tonight, South Alabama, App State. If you want to watch the game, I'm going to be live streaming it on YouTube, TikTok, Discord, all that stuff. Make sure you show up to the platform of your choice. It'll be there. Marshall at Ohio State. If you want to know who's winning this game and the spread and all that, I'm just going to tell you, become an MVP. JMU, North Carolina, become an MVP. Tulane, Louisiana. It's a coin flip. I'm on Louisiana. I want to see Louisiana win this game. I believe in their defense. Come on, don't let me down, Louisiana. It's going to be tough, though. I understand. Tulane could beat them. Arkansas State, Iowa State. I'm on Iowa State all day. Obviously, covering that spread is going to be difficult. It was 20.5. Now it's 21.5. That's very significant because that's 3 touchdowns as opposed to 2 touchdowns and two field goals. So that's going to be difficult. It's more than 3 touchdowns if you think about it. 3 touchdowns, 21 points. You need another field goal on top of it. So tough for Iowa State to cover that spread. Virginia, Coastal Carolina. I told you, I like Virginia. I think Coastal's running into some problems right now. Southern Miss, Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State 6-point favorites? Oh, I like Southern Miss to cover that spread. I probably like Southern Miss to money line that shit. And I also like the under in that game. 60.5? Oh, man, that's 30 points each? Oh, fuck. Maybe. I know Jacksonville State's going to start Huff this game, and it's a better quarterback than they've had. Whatever. Troy's beating Florida A&M. Ole Miss that's an MVP level lock. Texas probably should cover the spread against ULM. All right, go to the chat one last time before we wrap up the show. Thank you guys for being here. Let's go see what you guys are talking about. Usually not a lot of chat after the first run through, but here we go. Yeah, nothing much. Do you think Coastal is a top 3 team in the conference? No, I do not, Karos. Not at all. And somebody tagged me on the Discord server again. Please stop doing that. Oh, it's Evan Kramer. He said Chris Lewis is cancer-free. Oh, snap. Chris Lewis is cancer-free. That warrants somebody tagging me. Shout out to Evan Kramer. Chris Lewis plays for Troy, wide receiver, transfer from Kentucky. Best receiver they ever had in the last 2 years now. And making all the one-handed grabs last year. One-handed grabs all over the place. He came down with sarcoma, cancer, skin cancer, very deadly, very dangerous. And Chris Lewis missing the season, having to recover from the cancer. And because of that, Troy has no wide receivers. And Ash is mad about it. And he's cancer-free. Awesome stuff, man. Very cool. I'm glad it worked out. My prayers. No, I don't pray. But anyways, shout out to them. Thank you guys for being here. I do not think Coastal Carolina is a top 3 team in the conference. No. Who's my top 3? Hey, calm down. I don't think Coastal Carolina is better than South Alabama. No. App State. Texas State. South Alabama. Yeah. Not there. Hey, guys, I'll see you tonight on the live stream. Just remember, your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Peace, y'all.